going on, everybody? Welcome back to LTQ Wrestling Podcast. We are 1 week away from Christmas. Hopefully, everybody's excited and hyped for that. One of my favorite holidays. You guys see, I got the little tree in the background right behind me. And we got New Year's as well. And hopefully, 2026 is a better year in the professional wrestling world than 2025 was. We didn't really have a lot of big-time things going besides the Cena retirement tour. And even that had its ups and downs. So hopefully, we get more exciting moments, more just memorable stuff, because it feels like a lull year for professional wrestling. Just not a lot going on where you go, man, I got to tune to see that. Just a lot of the same stuff for really just all companies. Not really the best year, I would say, professional wrestling. So hopefully 2026, we get back to having some, memorable stories. And we usually have memorable matches, but there's so many good matches you kind of forget about them sometimes. At least that's how I am. Like, I'll see, a good match and I forget about it unless it's like a really memorable match. But 2026 needs to be a better year. So speaking of Christmas and presents and surprises, we had a big surprise on AEW Dynamite this week. MJF made his big return. He's been gone for a minute, and he came out acting like a babyface. I mean, he was getting cheered. He wasn't really going at the fans too much. He was more going at Swerve, Joe, and Hangman. They were doing a contract signing. He comes out, adds himself to the match. He had like a rematch thing or something like that. So it's going to be a fatal four-way: MJF, Hangman Adam Page, Samoa Joe, and Swerve for the AEW World title. Now, the big question I have, is this going to make a big difference in AEW MJF being back? Like, is it going to, impact the ratings? The ratings haven't been great. Is it going to impact the overall quality of the show, which has been kind of boring the last few months? It's like when I watch AEW, it's really a lot of the same wrestlers. And it's the same with WWE too. You see a lot of the same people fighting and the same stories and the same challengers. It's the same thing with AEW. I don't really see a lot of wrestlers that are signed that could be getting more of an opportunity. Like, you watch AEW, you pretty much know who you're going to see on a weekly basis. And obviously, you're going to have your major stars. You want to have them on the program. People tune in to see your big stars like Swerve and Hangman Adam Page and MJF and stuff like that. Obviously, you want to have them on the show. But it feels like Tony Khan has literally just forgot about half his locker room and is like, okay, these are the people I'm going to feature on AEW Dynamite this week. We're not going to add anybody new. We got people like Keith Lee sitting in the back not doing that. We're not going to feature them or anything. We're just going to have these same people and just keep kind of doing the same thing, and the wheel's going to keep on turning. And, that's why I question if MJF is really going to make a difference, because the AEW product, at least to me, is in a very boring state right now. And same with WWE. Again, I'm not just saying that about AEW, because I know the AEW fans will come at me if they watch this and be like, oh, how could you say this about AEW? WWE is boring and stale. I agree. WWE's not very good right now either. It's a lot of the same. So Drew and Cody have faced off a million times, and they're facing off again. It's just a recycle of the same stuff. And AEW is doing that right now. And MJF being back, you could argue he's their biggest star. He's their best promo. He's a guy that's going to draw attention. There's a lot of attention on his return on TikTok and all social media platforms. A lot of people were talking about it because MJF has a huge fan base. And rightfully so. He's a great promo, great worker. I remember a lot of fans just say, oh, MJF is not a good worker in the ring. Hogwash. He's a great worker. Look at his match with Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and CM Punk, and the list goes on and on. Him and Hangman, him and Darby. Like, you could look down the list. He's had great matches. But I just don't know if he's going to make that big of a difference on a program that just hasn't drawn many new viewers in, because it's just like AEW is stuck right now with pretty much around 600,000 to 800,000 viewers. They're not really going up or down. They have their fan base, and it's just going to continue to be that fan base. They're not really doing anything to draw new fans in. Pretty much, if you like hardcore professional wrestling and 100-mile-per-hour matches and all that, then this is the product for you. Other than that, you're not going to really like it too much. And that's, to me, you got to cater to the casual fan too. Not that WWE, not on their level where you just cater to the casual fans, but you need to bring in new fans as well. Because if you're a casual fan tuning into AEW and you see like a MJF or something, you're going to be interested, but then you're just going to be like, okay, you watch their matches. There's a lot of no selling. There's a lot of getting up from unrealistic things. And that draws a lot of fans off. I feel like they need to do something different with MJF to get fans interested. Maybe that's him winning the world title. They had solid ratings when he was AEW World Champion. So maybe they go back and Tony Khan says, you know what? Joe's not really meant to be a long-term champion. Heyman just lost the title. They could have Swerve win it back as well. But you have a lot of stories and matches you can go to for the world title that maybe draw some fans in, because I really enjoyed the Hangman Adam Page and MJF feud. I actually enjoyed the promo work against each other. The matches were always great. I do think that's something they could possibly do. You have the Swerve and Hangman thing you could eventually go back to. I still don't like how quickly they go on the same page. That's really one of my main gripes about wrestling is like wrestlers will burn each other's houses down. They will light each other on fire. They will do the unthinkable things to one another in the wrestling ring and outside the wrestling ring, and they're best friends and on the same page like a year later. Like, I feel like they should have waited a few years to do Hangman and Swerve on the same page, because it's just like, okay, you guys literally hate each other. Now you're on the same page. But anyways, that's a gripe for another day. But if MJF wins the world title, I think that would be the best case scenario, because he's been off the program for a while. He's fresh. You could do something different. Maybe he's a baby face, like I said. Maybe he's back to being a face. He was a face before. After saying in interviews he was just meant to be a heel. And MJF is just one of the best heels in the business. I mean, if you want to say if you prefer a baby face or heel, I want to say heel. But I think you have him win the world title. Try to get some feuds with Hangman, with Joe and Swerve. You could do feuds with all three of those guys and really give them stories to try to get fans invested. Because if you don't do that, it's not going to make a difference. And hell, it might not even make a difference anyways. That's why I'm questioning, like, him being back's great and it adds something fresh to the product, but it's AEW, really the last person to make a huge difference in that promotion was CM Punk, and that was years ago. So it's tough to see if MJF's really going to make that big of a difference in a promotion that's struggling with the ratings. And then they have, Netflix buying Warner Brothers Discovery and, Max and everything. That's going to be a big question mark. So AEW really right now needs to step up, because Netflix might not be like Warner Brothers Discovery, where they look at it like, you know what, the ratings are cool, they're 800K, because they own, obviously, WWE Raw, so they see millions of viewers every week. And if they see AEW really struggling to get viewers, which they have done, then they might remove them from the whole, production and show and network entirely, and they have to look for somewhere else to go. That's a possibility. So AEW really needs to take advantage of MJF being back if they really want it to be somewhat of a difference maker, because Tony Khan talks his product up like it's just the greatest product ever. They're doing so great. And pay-per-view wise, yes, they're selling a lot of tickets and they're getting a lot of buys on pay-per-views. But when it comes to AEW Collision and AEW Dynamite, there's not a lot of interest in them shows. And that needs to change if you want Netflix to really look at your show and be like, okay, we want to keep these guys around. We want to talk to Tony Khan, maybe put him on Netflix or whatever the case may be. Because if you don't, it's going to be a long year, and who knows if a lot of other networks are going to want to pick up AEW. I mean, I think there's always going to be interest in professional wrestling from other networks, because, I mean, TNA just got a TV deal, and that's great for them. But it's going to be not as easy as it once was, because, the script is out on AEW, if you want to say that. Like, I think everybody sees what they're going to be and what the audience is going to be, and you need to do something that gets your product hot. That way your ratings are up a little bit when you're getting ready to either talk to Netflix or whoever buys it. Looks like Netflix. But you need to get MJF, who's one of the more popular and overstars in the company, the world title, and see if he makes a difference. Because right now, I don't think there's anything else they can really do to get fans invested. I mean, MJF's, a wrestler I see talked about the most from the AEW brand. Everybody else, I mean, not really. Unless they were like a WWE name, like a Bryan Danielson, or they have like a fan base from WWE. But other than that, there's just not a lot of hype in the AEW show. And if they want MJF to make that big of a difference, you put the world title on him, you have him hold it for a while, you have him be in big time feuds, you have him really do promos that get fans. Because the problem with AEW is they don't do, like, they do stories, they don't do stories besides the Hangman and Swerve story, there hasn't been a lot of big time story where you go, man, that's gotten personal, that's gotten deep, that's went on a while. And MJF can be a guy that can do that with a lot of your top stars. That's, Hangman can't really do that. I mean, Hangman's a decent promo. He's not MJF. There's not a lot of MJFs in general in wrestling, a guy who can really captivate the audience with kayfabe and with his promos and get personal and all that. So my advice to Tony Khan, and he ain't going to listen to this anyway, but my advice to AEW and Tony Khan, put the title on MJF, have him feud with Joe, Swerve, and Hangman. That's at least a year worth of, stories and rivalries, and they all have history with one another. And MJF was already going at him on the promo on AEW, so you already have the beef there because he came back and took shots, all of them. Have that happen. Have some promos go on, build up the matches, really make them mean something, have great professional wrestling matches, because you can have great professional wrestling matches. Anybody could do that. What are you doing to make it where fans are invested in it? Because Tony Khan has a tendency of just putting two guys or two women against each other and be like, okay, this is the match we're having this week. There's nothing on the line. There's no reason for them facing off. We're just going to have fantasy matches. It's like pretty much me and Tears are booking WWE Universe mode in real life, watching Tony Khan. He's just booking dream matches all the time. And I love the matches. I don't get me wrong. I really loved Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, and Will Ospreay and MJF became MJF's good matches. Like, there's matches that are great, but you forget about them because you see every match look like they're in a WrestleMania main event, and that's not what you want. You want more stuff to stand out. And MJF can be that guy to make a difference on the show. I just don't know if anybody can really make a difference with AEW at this point because, you know, like I said, the script's out on what they're going to be. So we'll see what the future holds. I probably yapped a little bit too much there. I apologize. But, like, they got to do something because Netflix is going to look at this ratings and be like, man, this show is not that much of a draw compared to WWE. Let's just cut bait. And that's going to be, you know, trouble for Tony Khan. And MJF is the guy he needs to put the title back on. Joe's great. I love Samoa Joe, but he's retiring soon. He's an older guy. You need to show more of, like, younger talent. I feel like that's another thing that's missing in wrestling is, like, a lot of younger talent don't really. And MJF's, I think, almost 30 now. He's not, like, 24, 25 anymore. And even 30 is young in wrestling. But you guys know what I mean. Like, you got to show what your future is going to be. And WWE and AEW both need to get the rocket strapped on somebody to show, like, this is our future. And Braun Breaker's the guy in WWE. Kyle Fletcher's hopefully the guy in AEW. Hopefully they haven't given up on, because he's lost 2 matches in this Continental Classic, I believe, which is interesting. He lost to Pac and Kevin Knight, which is, I'm all for upsets if they make sense, but Kyle Fletcher's the guy you're building up to be, like, the guy. So for him to lose both those matches a little bit, I don't know. But we'll see. So what do you guys think about MJF being back? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe for more professional wrestling content. I've been trying to get Tears here and QJ here and others here to do podcast episode. It's been a struggle. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Some of them say they're gonna be here and they don't show up, or they're not gonna be around, or they kind of leave me hanging. Whatever the case may be, it's been frustrating. I've been trying to make it happen for you guys. I will keep trying. I know I probably annoy them sometimes, but I ain't asking for much. So hopefully eventually we get something going before Christmas and get some more content out for you guys. So hopefully you guys like the video, like and subscribe.